Aloha. Up next, we've got the founder of Medical Cannabis Day. This time, Dr. Otto is coming on to provide us with more information about what he hears that are patient priorities, and hopefully we'll echo some of the questions that we've been receiving in the chat. Dr. Otto, thank you again for your time and for still being here in the event and being able to present. We really appreciate you, and I'll jump off the screen. Thank you.
Thanks, Brent, and thanks again, everybody, for all your help in making this happen. And I'm glad that so many people have been able to watch today. So I'm going to jump right in because I'm going to try and stay on track and keep us, give us a chance of still catching up. So I'm going to, okay, so as Brent mentioned, I'm going to be talking about some of the patient priorities that have been brought to me, and I've tried to organize these into three main categories just to try and help us all kind of wrap our heads around where we might be able to put some of our effort into this. And I really appreciated Gary's talk, especially what he had to say about creating a unified message, and I'll try and get back to that a little bit later. So just some disclosures. I'm a certifying physician for Hawaii's program. I'm not associated with any dispensaries, no other financial interests. A little bit about my background. I am going to put this up on my website, so if I go through this kind of quickly, don't worry. Got into this because of a friend who had colorectal cancer, which motivated me to learn about the science. And then I started learning about Hawaii's Medical Use of Cannabis Act. That's when I became a real advocate for the program. And this is right out of the archives. There is Governor Cayetano's signature, June 14th, 2000. That's why this is such an important day for our patients and for our state. And it's all based upon state authorized use. This is an authority, a constitutional authority reserved to the states that allowed our state and all the others to decide how cannabis is used. Then our state decided that medical use was appropriate 21 years ago on this day. And you can look it up right there, Chapter 329. This is part of what's called our Uniform Controlled Substances Act that actually is not very uniform. Hawaii changed it when they adopted it from the commission. But you can see it actually says medical use of cannabis. It doesn't say medicinal use, does not say botanical use. This is medical use, and that's what we're trying to focus on today. So the number one priority, it seems so simple, but I just have to say it. Patients are the number one priority. And if we make patients the number one priority, everything else is simple. It will just follow. We don't have to worry about whether there are going to be enough customers or there's going to be enough money. There is huge medical potential in this state. Unfortunately, the program is a pseudo-medical program because probably half of the agencies that I've talked to in the state don't even believe in the medical use of cannabis. They think it should go away. And so in addition, there's this misconception that our program is violating federal law. And so that is putting our patients at risk. It's promoting all kinds of illegal activity across the state on many levels. And so that brings us to what I think is the first number one priority. That's end the discrimination that our patients are facing every day. I get calls from patients almost weekly telling me their horror stories, firearms permits, employment, life insurance, medical insurance, TDI, federally getting evicted from federally subsidized housing. It is just horrendous what our patients are being exposed to every day. Luckily, we had a major breakthrough this session, and you've heard a lot about what's possible and how to approach the legislature. We had some federal exemption resolutions that made it all the way through both chambers. I'm giving notice of note to the Representative Nakashima and Senator Keohokalole, who were instrumental in making this happen along with the other chairs along the way. But this is significant. This is the first time that our legislature has expressed its will on the federal conflict. And even though it is a resolution, it is not binding upon the Department of Health. It tells the Department of Health and the executive branch, the legislature feels that this conflict is unacceptable and they want it to be addressed. And so this is now sitting on Director Char's death, Director of the Department of Health. It is a request, and so now we're waiting to see how that's going to move forward, and there are a number of ways to help move that. Also, there are 4 federal exemption bills that were introduced last session. And as Senator San Buenaventura referred to, sometimes there's not a lot of will to move a bill forward if it's felt that the governor will veto. And that was part of the reason these bills didn't move. But also, it was felt that they didn't want to tell the Department of Health what to do. Let's ask them first, see if they comply. We've got 4 bills that are still alive because we're in a biennium right now. And these could all be revived, assigned to committees, and be moved forward. Number two priority, as I see it, is safe, affordable medicine. And what does that look like? Well, I think first of all, we need to look at the regulatory scheme of the current dispensary program, since that's what a fair number of our patients are depending upon. Currently, it falls underneath Director Char in the Health Resources Administration, and then the Office of Medical Cannabis Control and Regulation fall under that branch. The problem with that is last time I heard it spoke in public, they only have 3 staff in OMCCR, and supposedly funding is limited, and we don't really have any cannabinoid specialists on board. That's a huge problem. We need somebody in there with knowledge of this subject, who knows how to regulate this. So what we also have is there's another branch, the Environmental Health Administration, which has the food safety branch within it. And that, in my opinion, it might be a better place for the program. It's certainly something that could happen. It could be moved over to that branch, and perhaps we could install a cannabinoid specialist there. Right now, we have a bit of a closed loop involving the Office of Medical Cannabis Control Regulation and the Dispensary Trade Organization, because dispensary rules are interim, meaning Chapter 91 has been suspended. There's no way for the public to petition the Department of Health to adopt rules or regulations that affect what's happening with the dispensaries, what new procedures are being adopted. And that's keeping our patients' providers outside of the loop. And that needs to change. Interim rules are not set to, final rules, final dispensary rules are not meant to be adopted until 4 more years, 2025, unless the Department of Health wants to adopt them sooner, but I don't see that happening. This is something we need to push for. We need, patients, providers need to be involved in how these dispensaries are changing. So the other issue is funding. There is the Medical Cannabis Registry and Regulation Special Fund. Right now, 3850 times 30,000 patients is over $1.1 million annually. Well, if there's only 3 staff, we can't pay those staff. Are we paying for other regulatory provisions excessively? I think we have a right to see that and see how those funds are being used. And also, if we're really going to treat this as a medical program, we need the medical board on board. We need formal guidelines for certifying providers. How are they conducted? What are the requirements? We have some general things within the statute, doctor-patient relationship, and discuss the risks and benefits, but that's not enough. We need formal guidelines that could be acted upon if they're being violated, and certification requirements, certain basic levels of competency that providers must pass if they want to be able to certify patients within the state. And research also falls under safe access, because there's a lot of research we could be doing to make sure that the products are being made safely, that they're appropriate for certain medical conditions, and patient cultivation. Instead of trying to destroy this option, I think it's something that needs to be protected but properly regulated. And it may hold the key to doing away with this broken vertical model and getting us more towards a horizontal model that the dispensaries recognize is not working for them right now. And number 3, I broke this out, inter-island transportation. We are a very unique being an island state. You can't expect patients to go to a dispensary on another island and find medicine that works for them. Some patients will spend months coming up with a formulation and a ratio and a strength that works for them, and they need to be able to carry that with them when they go to visit families. We have, as has been mentioned, this federal aviation regulation that's been on the books for decades, and it's pretty clear there. I think most of us could read that and understand that, okay, if there's a state law that allows cannabis to be carried aboard aircraft, then it should be exempt, right? And we have our existing law that very clearly allows for the inter-island transportation of samples for dispensaries, something that is critical for outer island dispensaries. So it seems to me that all the pieces are in place. I think the problems are more a willingness on the part of our state agencies to address this issue. So it's really about healthcare. What is that going to look like for our patients? Inevitably, THC will be involved. I think we need to get over that and realize that we need to do what's best for our patients. You know, I quickly, just to kind of get a feeling for how many patients should we really be serving, I looked up this review or these latest statistics actually from the CDC. They're saying 20.4% adults had chronic pain in the US 2019. Another 7.4 were what they're calling a high impact, meaning it's significantly affected their ability to work and different activities over the past 3 months. So that's about 28%. So if we extrapolate that to Hawaii, let's be conservative. Okay, let's just say 20%. Well, 20% times 1.4 million, there's the current number, 2021. That's 280,000 people. And I looked up last night the current stats for registered pain, severe pain patients. Coincidentally enough, it's 28,000. So 1/10 of the patients who could probably qualify and potentially benefit are currently registered. And that's not looking at other conditions, PTSD, HIV, cancer. So there is a huge population that is not being served, that is relying on treatments that are potentially toxic. All because I believe, in large part, because they don't want to be doing something that they think violates federal law. This is keeping a large percentage of potential patients away from a potentially helpful medicine. So I've been at this for 10 years. At some point, the baton is going to need to be passed. And I think more than ever now, patients need to organize. There needs to be a unified voice. I'm seeing a lot of confusion still about the difference between doing something like getting an exemption versus rescheduling. They're not the same thing. And I would say an exemption is not something that's been tried before. Iowa is the farthest along. But it's in some ways the simplest because it doesn't require any change to state or federal law. I'm a proponent for medical use. As our keynote speaker noted at the beginning of the day, cannabis is medicine. I think there's far more potential, even from a economic side, if we develop this as a medicine within the state, protect it, develop it, allow the research. We could make FDA quality products within the state, have a flourishing medical cannabis tourism industry that was well regulated and safe for patients. So that's all I have for now. Hopefully that kept us on schedule. Appreciate the opportunity to speak today and for everything that I hope this event's going to do. So aloha, everybody.
Thank you so much, Dr. Otto. Really, really appreciate your time. And thank you for catching us back up with our time. I really appreciate that.